Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Weekend Roundup. I'm George, the Pocono Outdoors guy, host and your fellow angler. How are you guys doing? Boy, I'll tell you what, the weather has been great this weekend. Finally, it felt so good to get out on that water a little bit. How are you guys doing? How things been for you? Leave us a note here. Come into the forum, say hello, tell us where you're from. What have you been out fishing for? But before we get into too much, I got to thank a few friends. I got to thank the great folks at Tony Maja Products, always here supporting Pocono Outdoors guy. And if you want to get into that 50-pound club, you got to get with Tony Maja. He's got the bunker spoons, the mojos, the easy out rod holders, custom rods, everything you need to get into that 50-pound club. So check out TonyMajaProducts.com, or they're available at fine tackle dealers everywhere. Also, the Fisherman Magazine. Stop over to thefisherman.com and check out Jim Hutchinson on Thursdays. He's got everything you need for the weekend ahead, and you might even catch me giving you an update for what's here in the Poconos. So check him out. May edition is out right now. Be sure you go check it out. Stop over and subscribe. 38 issues for $29.95. It's a great deal. So what do we got lined up for today? Let's see. Hey, John Augustine saying hello. Nick Canistera, go get him, Glenn. And John Augustine says, go, Glenn. I'm great to see you guys here. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Just have a really great show lined up. Tonight, we got a really good friend of mine. It's funny because we met for probably about 2 years. We've been following each other, and we did a show last year around this time. And we were 2 booths away and didn't even know we were next to each other. It was so funny afterwards. He said, what are we doing? We didn't even realize that. We should have got together. But guys, I do want to bring in my friend, Glenn Key, FLW Co-Angler. Glenn, how you doing there, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, George? How's it going, guys?
Fantastic. Hey, that was kind of funny when we were at the Hunters Gallery last year, and 2 booths away, and we didn't even know with each other there. So
yeah, I think I got home and I seen on Instagram, I think we were already following each other, and I seen on Instagram that you were up there, and I reached out and I was like, hey man, I was right down the booth. So
I know, we didn't even know it.
Yeah, man, that's how it works sometimes.
That was crazy. So what kind of fishing you've been doing, Glenn? How's it been going with you?
I pretty much just fish for bass, man. So I've been chasing down smallmouth, chasing down the largemouth, trying to figure them out. Temperature changes haven't been so helpful, but we've been getting on them a little bit, man. We've been figuring them out, and I got some good guys that get me out on the water because, like you said, I'm a co-angler. I don't own a boat, so I got some guys that get me out on the water, and we've been figuring some things out.
Right. So, I mean, with all the COVID stuff, I mean, it's been a mess, and I hope everybody in your family there is okay with all that.
Yeah, so far so good, man. I hope same with your family as well. Everybody who's watching, everyone who will watch, hope everyone's doing well with that. We're just hanging in there, man, trying to stay clean, trying to stay healthy.
Yeah, for sure. So what I wanted to do tonight is, some of the folks watching, like I said, we're into the in the bass season here. Hi, Rachel. Rachel Hummel says, hi, Glenn.
Hey.
So, with the season starting, and it's been a kind of a tough year, what kind of tips can you give us? And let's talk about how you would approach fishing early season like this.
It's like you said, the temperature changes have really been fluctuating. It's been I think the bass were really, they were setting up to spawn, and then the temperatures dropped. And I remember at one point we were on the water one day and it was 62-degree water temperature. The next 2 days it was down to 52. So that 10 degrees really messed them up. I think they were moving up, they were preparing, they were getting ready. We were starting to see a few red tails, not many though. And then all of a sudden that cold weather hit, and I think they just pulled back off. At first we were getting them with moving baits, and then we kind of had to slow it down and really finesse them out of there.
Right. Yeah, we had the same thing, trying to fish some stripers early season. And, they were on for a little bit. Some guys got into a few fish. Then that cold weather hit and nothing. It just died. And I think it's just about time with this warm up this weekend. Maybe they'll start getting, back in the swing a little bit and start getting on some of these fish.
Yeah, they really locked up. But I think, like I said, it's back up to 62 degrees. We seen a 62 on the river yesterday. And I think by the next full moon, like I'm a big believer in the full moon. I think it plays a big deal. And I think by the next full moon, they'll be in full swing, man.
Great. That's good news. Now let's do a little bit. What are your tactics this time of year for, let's go with a largemouth first and then
Hmm.
maybe some smallmouth. And, for guys that, want to learn more and how to get, I mean, you're kind of a pro, you fish the tournament trail. If you get stuck into a tournament right now, what
Hmm.
is your go-to? How do you approach these things?
We'll start off with the largemouth, like you said. We're pretty much. I am getting some of them on the river down by Peach Bottom area, but pretty much the upper Chesapeake Bay we are fishing out of the Northeast River. We've been fortunate. We actually found them in the Northeast. We really didn't have to go too far. We found some marinas that were all off the beaten path. The wind wasn't beating them up, the boats weren't beating them up, things like that. And we just tried to find the grass. We found some grass, some sporadic grass in there. And at first we were chatterbaiting them off, spinner baiting them off of the grass. And then once that temperature dropped, they kind of like locked up a little bit. And we moved to more finesse tactics. We were throwing shaky heads, wacky worms. And with those plastics, we really had to keep them dipped, man. They were in the water a long time. I think sometimes we were bringing them around beds, and it was just it was irritating them so much they had to eat it, and that's
Right.
pretty much how we were getting on them big ones, I think.
Right. Right. Now, how do you approach the smallmouth?
So now the smallmouths, I'm on the Susquehanna River, so pretty much we've been pretty successful down in the Peach Bottom area. And I actually been cranking them out, man. We were still getting them on the moving baits, few chatterbait bites, but mostly the crankbait. Cranking them at about 5 to 7 depth, no deeper than that. So I'm running 5 to 7 depth crankbaits and just banging them off of pieces of cover, off the wood, and trying to bring them off like that on a reaction strike.
Sure, sure. We have a good friend, Brandon Gibbons, says that he was out today and some are already moving up into the smaller lakes. So that's
Sweet.
really good to hear. Yeah. We
Yeah, that's
definitely
good to
want to see
hear.
some action. We need action. It's been tough, guys. We've been fighting through this all season here. So
Yeah, it's been rough, man. And it's like we finally got a break in the weather, and then the COVID happened. So it kind of made us hunker down again. So it's good to get out a little bit. I see they opened everything up in Maryland. My club actually had a tournament down there today. Shout out to B.A.S. Legends. They were down there smacking them. I didn't get to go down today, but they were down there smacking them. It's nice to see Maryland open back up for tournaments as long as we're observing the rules and regulations.
right, right. Now I think that's another important thing. I mean, I think we've all been shut in for so long. We're just dying to get out, but we got to be careful and,
For
maintain
sure.
our distance and stay healthy basically, because we want
For
to fish
sure.
a long, long time. Let's see. Nick Canistera says, "Best Legend Bit Boys here for you." So we got
Yeah,
some some boys
that's
giving
one of
you
the
a shout
guys, man. That's one of
out.
the guys, man.
That's
Thanks, Nick.
awesome. Yeah. So, yeah, but how are the bass going to change over the next couple of weeks? I mean, I think they're coming up on the beds right now, and what do we got to look forward to?
Yeah, I think they're gonna come up on their beds. They're gonna, like I said, the next full moon, in my opinion, the next full moon is really gonna start that off. They're gonna lock onto them beds. Um, be able to catch them kind of just with your plastics, bringing them across, irritating them on the beds. And then once that deal gets done and we get into the post spawn, um, eh, everyone loves the top water. So hopefully we can get into some good top water bites come that season.
Oh, that's one of my favorite, throwing those
It
big old
is,
whopper
man.
ploppers out there and just seeing
It
them
is.
explode on top. Rolling Giddings says, "What's up, Glenn?"
There we go. That's Bass Legends in the house.
Awesome. Good to see you
Yeah,
guys.
man.
Thank you very much for tuning in. So, what did like go through the progression as you start the season off this time of year?
Hmm.
You said early season like this, you love your plastics. Obviously, you're dragging them on the beds. I like Ned rigs this time of year. I don't know if you're
Yeah.
a big fan of Ned rigs or not,
Yeah.
but how do
Yeah.
you approach the season as we get into summer?
Well, it's kind of like you said. We're just working the plastics. We're keeping them dipped in the water as long as we can, irritating them, trying to get them in. As the water temperature starts heating up, they're going to start eating, feeding more aggressively. Now we can start throwing them the moving baits, throwing your chatter baits. I'm a fan of a spinner bait. I always got one tied
Me
on, so
too.
I'm always throwing that around wood and ripping it through grass and just trying to get that real reaction bite. Like once they're feeding up and then into the post spawn, they're a little agitated because they just got done doing their thing.
Sure.
But then we can start getting them on the top water, like we was just saying, and like you said, I think that's everyone's favorite time. I love walking the spook for them smallies, and they just
Right.
crash, man. And up at Champlain, throwing that plopper, man. I love it. And then by then we're just in full swing, you know, and until summer comes and it gets really hot, and then we're chasing them deep.
Right, right. Well, then you kind of go back to the plastics again, right? You're using
Yeah,
jigs,
yeah.
and yeah, so it's kind of comes full circle.
And I fish the Northeast BFLs, and I'm looking to try to get into the Northern Toyota series as well. So I fish a lot of the Northern New York lakes. We're fishing a drop shot a lot, man. I'm fishing
Nice.
deep water, clear water. Um, I know I'll get some top water early, and then we're just kind of going deep with it, man. And that's not something I was really used to until my first year in the BFL. I got up on the Thousand Islands and we were fishing 30 feet deep, and it was really fun because it's kind of like you're just dropping it off the edge. You know, you see them down there on the graph, and all of a sudden they're there, and you're just lifting up and getting them in the boat.
Right, right. Your buddy Randy Egger, what tactics do you use as a co-angler?
Hey, what's up, Randy? First of all, man, Randy's one of the first guys that when I got introduced to fishing, he was really there for me, helped me out a lot. Thanks a lot, Randy. But as a co-angler, what I'm really trying to do on the back of the boat, I'm looking for situations and casts that my boater might have missed. Places that my boater didn't get his lure, places where I think he didn't work it right. I'm really watching my boater as much as I am paying attention to my fishing as well. So that's one of the things I try to suggest to co-anglers: just really pay attention to what your boater is doing, switch it up a little bit, and try to hit them spots he or she really isn't.
You ever get one of your boaters a little jealous that you hooked a big old one that they missed?
Um, it happens more than you would think, man. It happens more than you would think. It's rough out there, you know, because even though I'm not fishing against my boater, he was out there practicing, and technically those are his fish.
Right.
And when you get a co-angler that catches them on the back of your boat, it can make a long day for a boater. I think
Sure.
it definitely could, man.
Sure. We got a question here from Rachel Hummel. She says, Glenn, have you ever seen bass take an invasive spotted lanternfly? I'll let you answer first, but I do have a comment on that too.
I really haven't. Um, I live in Lancaster County, up in Columbia, PA now. I'm from Reading, but I live up in Lancaster County now, and I've seen them around. They've started to come around, but I haven't seen them on the water. I really haven't been in that situation yet.
Okay. Well, Rachel, I'll tell you from my experience, down here in Beltsville, they were all over the place. And I
Mm,
think the fish were just having a field day. I think they were on them more than anything else. Because you'd see as they were going across the lake, they drop in the water and there were just fish splashing on them all over as fast as they could. So I think that was I think population control, I think right there with some of these fish getting on the
sweet.
lanternflies. But that's a great question. Thank you,
Yeah, that
Rachel.
was, man.
Yeah. Mark Hines happens all the time. Yeah. Hey, Mark, how you been, buddy? Good to see you. So, we had a question here about your gear. Like, what do you like to fish with? I mean, as
Okay.
far as bait casters, spinning reel. I mean, what's your setup?
Yeah, I wrote some things down too, kind of what I was using as far as the crankbait setup. I'm throwing a Lew's David Fritz crankbait series rod. It's 7 foot, medium heavy, moderate cranking action. I actually throw mono on my crankbaits. I feel like might just be in my head, but I know mono stretches a little, and when I'm banging it off of the rocks and the wood, I feel like it kind of gives me a little extra stretch to get off of them. Recently I've been throwing, like I said, 5 to 7 depth crankbaits. I throw the Norman lures. Somebody at Susquehanna Fish and Tackle turned me on Norman, and I've been dealing with them since. So I'm throwing the middle ends right now. And about 2 weeks ago, we were throwing the chartreuse and blue.
Mm,
That might have been about it was before the season closed, because we had one in the box and we seen it spit up a blue crawfish. So when we seen it spit up the blue crawfish, we started throwing the chartreuse and blue. Yesterday when we were out, I actually had a red one tied on, and I was like, this isn't the color we were using, but second crank and they started hammering it.
no
So that's
kidding.
kind of for them smallies on a Susquehanna. And when I've been using the crankbait, that's what I've been doing. The David Fritz rod, 7 foot, medium heavy, moderate action, 12-pound mono on there, middle end crankbait.
Okay.
Um, when we were on the bay and we switched down to the plastics, I was actually throwing a wacky worm. I was throwing that on a Lew's custom speed stick, light. That's 611 medium extra fast. It's actually the dock skipper. I feel like I really like to skip my wacky worms. Maybe
Sure.
once again, it's just something in my head. I feel like it's like a dinner bell ringing to hear it coming. Now all of a sudden it's there. So I'm throwing that dock skipper on there. I was throwing 10-pound P-line tactical fluorocarbon on that. That's the fluorocarbon I use, the tactical fluorine from P-line. And that was 10-pound on there. And I was using just a Senko, a 5-inch Senko on that. Um, I got a couple fish the other day on a Berkeley Creature Hog. I was pitching that around the pylons. There was like down pylons and pylons without actually docks on them that were just still there. And I was pitching that and flipping that on there. I was keeping it real tight to the pillar. It seemed like it had to be right on the pillar.
Okay.
And as it was coming down that column, they were just picking it up and swimming off. For that, I was using a Lew's custom speed stick. It's a 7-foot 2-inch medium heavy fast tip. On there, that's my bait casting setup for my pitching, and I'm using a Lew's Tournament MP speed spool, actually the 8-3-1. It gives me that fast recovery. So now when I'm pitching it out there, they're grabbing it and they're swimming away right away. I can catch up to them real quick and I get them into the boat.
Sure.
With being a tournament angler, you'll see us like when you watch the pros on TV, we're not really playing around. We're trying to get them in the boat and get it done. So with that 8-3, it lets me catch up to them real quick and get them right in the boat.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
really good information. We did have a question from Nick. He said, any snakehead action up in the Northeast?
Oh, you know what, Nick? We did catch one. It was kind of like our third day out there. We caught one in the Northeast. Fried them up, man. Fried them up.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome.
man. I actually didn't eat him. My buddy took him home and he ate him. He said it was really good, man. And we seen a couple people catch them in the marinas we were in, but we only got that one. We probably got about 7 breakoffs though, and they were like real clean breakoffs. So we're pretty sure those were the snakeheads too. So they're there.
Well, that's what I heard. I hear those snakeheads are good eating. They're kind of encouraging people to take them and eat
Definitely.
them just for
Definitely.
population control too.
Yeah.
I got another question from John Augustine. He says, how about your PBs? What are some of your PBs?
It's funny. The other day, last week on the bay, I almost beat my PB. Right now, my personal best largemouth is at 6.5.
Nice.
I had a 6.25 the other day, so it was real close, and I thought it was. You can't really tell until you get it on the scale at that size. So I was shaking for a good 30 minutes, even after finding out it wasn't a PB. But my largemouth is 6.5. My smallmouth is 5.5. I just got that up on the St. Lawrence last
That
season on the BFLs, man.
that is a really nice smallie up over
Oh
5
man,
pounds, man.
there's nothing like it up there, man. Them smallies, they get so big. They're eating them gobies up, man. And I
Yep.
was on a super tournament up there once, and as a co, I watched my boater throw back 4.5s like half a day, man. And he needed bigger ones. The 4.5 just wasn't helping him, and they were just so huge. And I was watching them throw them back, and the big ones are in abundance up there, man.
I bet. What do you like better? Do you like the smallmouth or the largemouth better?
I love this. It all depends. If it's not a tournament, smallies. Largemouth way more, you know. So if it's
Yeah,
a tournament, hopefully we can get the largemouth. But if it's fun, like if someone say let's go fishing for whatever you want right now, it's always going to be smallmouth, always.
sure.
Unless it's
Largemouth
a
pay more.
top water hollow belly frog bite, that might persuade me.
The top water. You can't beat top water.
You can't, man. You can't.
Scott Johnston says, tight lines, Glenn, keep up the good work. And your tips are always on point. Thank you, Scott.
Sweet. Yeah, Scott,
Appreciate
that's one
that.
of my buddies that I get out with on the regular, man.
Awesome.
He's one of the guys that gets me out a lot. I got another buddy, Jeff Gibble, gets me out a lot. And we figure them out together, man. Like I know we see me doing a lot of it. These guys don't mess with social media too much, but it's definitely a team effort. I got a great circle around me and they really support me and push me to be all I can.
That's one of the things I love most about being outdoorsman is that
Hmm.
brotherhood. You said you got a good circle around you. And I think it's one of the most, out of all the competitive sports, you look at football, baseball, and I look at fishing as a competitive sport, but we help each other compared to the other guys, you know?
We do.
Yeah,
We definitely do. You get your you get your circle and you get around them and now it's a network, you know. A lot of the water we fish is really big, man. And if you try
right.
to get out there by yourself and break it down, and no one's doing it by themselves, man. No one's doing it. The pros are networking, we're networking. It's just part of it. And if you can get a reliable circle and you guys are getting out there and figuring them out together, it just makes that camaraderie that much better too. That
Sure,
much better.
sure. And you can tease the other guys too when you get a new PB, so that never hurts either.
Oh, for sure. It's always good for bragging rights to have the guys around,
Absolutely.
man.
Let's see. Mark Hines says the Cigar Fluoro is his fave. Just talking about fluoro as well. Do you?
Hmm.
You were talking about throwing a wacky worm. Do you really think that the fluoro makes that much of a difference when you're on bass that are that aggressive, or is it really for when those times when they're really, really finicky, you got to switch over to fluoro?
I see. I don't know. Maybe I'm not an older guy, and I know a lot of the older guys fish a lot of mono. I just came into fishing not too long ago. I've been fishing competitively for about 5 years now. I only started fishing right before that. I pretty much went right into fluoro, so I've been
Okay.
using fluoro the whole time. It's either fluoro or braid, and a lot of the times I have braid on all of my setups and then just a fluoro leader.
Okay.
And especially a lot of times down on the bay, I fish a lot of muddy water. I know guys that get away with straight braid. They're just fishing braid, man, and
Right.
they're getting it. Put a little black marker on that braid, and they're getting it. But as far as the fluorocarbon, yeah, I pretty much since I came in, that's what's been used around me. So that's just what I use. I use the mono for like my crankbaits, like I said. I'll use the mono on open water, top water, things like that if there's no grass around.
Mhm.
But I'm primarily the fluorocarbon, the braids to the fluorocarbon, and it's cool. The Cigar and Vizex, man, I loved it too. That's what I was using before I went to this P line. But I got on this P line tactical, and I really love it. I get the high vis braid, that way I can see when it's in the water. If I see any adjustment at all, I can see it right there, and that's kind of just what I'm on now. That tactical.
Sure, sure. No, I think that makes a difference in some situations. I know my buddy Josh and I were out doing some crappie fishing a couple of years ago, and he was using straight fluoro. I had some real light mono on mine, and he was out fishing me like 5 to 1. And he says,
Yeah.
"Dude, you got to put, they can see this stuff. You got to put fluoro on." And we switched up, and it made such a difference going to that invisible line. They just say it.
And it was just that's what I was always told, and everyone I was around coming in was using fluoro, not too many people using mono. And so like I just got brought into it, and that's just what it hasn't done me wrong. So that's where I've been.
Right, right. Hey, Brandon Gibbons. He stopped by to say hello. He says, I do straight braid and get away if it's murky, fluoro for clear. And yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
Depend what your favorite setup is. Some guys just like the braid because it's no stretch. I like a little stretch when I'm trolling. I get out there with stripers. I want a little forgiveness in that line. So you'll see me trolling. I use a lot of that Berkeley trilene on my
Sweet.
stuff. So,
Sweet.
all right. Now we get into summer a little bit more. Just we got a little bit of time left.
Mhm.
Your big change up. When would you make that change? Is it based on water temperature? And what is your favorite go to midsummer?
Yeah, it's definitely water temperature. I can't be exact on the water temperature, but it's kind of just like us. Once we start getting uncomfortable, man. Once those temperatures start getting uncomfortable, the fish are starting to get uncomfortable, and they're gonna start going deeper. You always have a percentage of fish that stay shallow, that
Sure.
are residents that are always going to be shallow, but the majority of them are going to start heading to deeper, trying to get to that colder water, the cooler water, catch that thermocline, and get out there. My favorite technique, I love drop shot. And like I said, I love drop shot in 30 feet for them deep smallies.
Really?
I was up on Cayuga one of my first years making a regionals through PA Federation, and I got with a boater, and we were fishing 15-foot deep drop shot. I'd never drop shot before in my life. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't even have the setups for it,
Right.
and he was really good. He was a patient boater. He caught his limit in like 25 minutes and then proceeded to teach me, and we
Right.
sat there and we drop shot in these 15-foot holes, and we were catching largemouth doing it, and it was great. And a lot of guys don't like drop shotting, but I started off, that's one of the things I started off doing. So I love it, man. I love drop shotting, man.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things that we're starting to do too, especially for the smallmouth. The lake we fish has a lot of LY in it, so we'll go
Okay.
cast net a bunch of LY for bait, and then we drop shot live LY right on those,
Sweet.
those drop offs. And boy, that's a real powerful technique there.
I think it's hard to beat, you're keeping it right in their face, and
Sure,
and even us, when we have a bug in our face and there's a little gnat, we're swatting at it. It's constant. And with those drop shots, you can get your leader set and you can get it right in their face for as long as you want it.
as long as you want. Right, I
Hmm.
love it. Jeff Gibble says the river was low yesterday at Peach Bottom, so maybe he's
Yeah,
giving you
that's
some heads up there.
well, no, that's actually my buddy Jeff. I was down there. That's who we were smacking them up yesterday on Peach Bottom, and I think they had the one dam open, and it was really low down there, man, really low, probably the lowest I've seen in a long
Oh,
time.
really?
Yeah,
Does that make the fishing better, you think? It kind of concentrates them, or is it just that
you
now they're
know,
all
I
whacked out?
I think at first they whack out from it, but they become accustomed to things. I think you just pull off. Then you pull off if you're fishing tight to the bank. You pull off some. Your bank's extended now, so I
Sure.
think the maybe at first it affects them, but they become accustomed to it, and you just pull out. And that's all we kind of did. We pulled out a little bit farther than what we were fishing last week, and it worked out well for us.
Awesome. Awesome. Jay Batcher. Hey, Jay, how you doing, buddy? He says, hey,
How's it going,
man.
Jay? How's it going,
Uh,
man?
we have Mike Diaz Cruz. It says, okay, little brother.
Yeah, that's my brother right there, man. Shout out,
Awesome.
Reading
Awesome.
boys.
Awesome. It's good to see everybody saying hello here. Love to hear it.
Yeah, and like I said, man, my circle's tight, man, and they really even the ones that don't fish, they really support, and they're really there for me. So it works out well.
Awesome. Really love it. How about you guys? Any more questions for Glenn here? I mean, we got an FLW pro here. We can really tap
That,
into that
that that
knowledge.
sounds good, brother. That sounds good. It sounded good coming off your tongue.
Well,
I
you'll be out in those tournaments. I know we'll be seeing lots and lots more of you. Um,
appreciate it, man. I'm trying, man.
just by chance, are you going to be up at the Hunters Gallery this year again?
It all depends on the schedule. The way the schedule's set right now, I might make Sunday.
Okay.
Because if I actually get to move up and fish the Toyota series, they're a third. I think it's like Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
So hopefully I make Saturday, so I won't be there. But if I don't make Saturday, I could possibly be there Saturday and Sunday.
Right.
But if I make all 3 days, which I'm planning to do, I'm gonna leave. I think it's Champlain. I'll be leaving Champlain, shooting right down to Scranton, get into my hotel, and I'll be there Sunday morning. So at least I'll be there Sunday for sure.
Sweet. Well, hopefully we can catch up there. We got a
Yeah,
couple
man.
of questions here.
Cool, man.
Um, Cody Cutter says North Branch of Susquehanna is super high and muddy right now. How would you approach this?
Oh, Cody Cutter, man. That's one of my buddies. When I get up in Scranton, he gets me out. He was actually one of my boaters on the BFL, and he's really kind of took me under his wing and taught me a lot. He gets me up there on the North Branch with him, and we're throwing tubes a lot. What we're doing, he'll get us around. We'll find little eddies where the water's running real fast, and we can find that calm spot, and we're kind of fishing in and out of that. I guess with the water being up, it's kind of the opposite of it being down. You're just moving in tighter, getting in tighter to the cover. The fish are going to start moving into places where they might not have been when the water wasn't there. They're going to get into those new spots, and I would just try to attack them.
Yeah, I think those eddies, they can be small areas, but they can hold a lot
Hmm.
of fish in one small little area.
Yeah, that's one thing definitely Cody like really put me on to them eddies, man. We'll sit up in them things and we'll nail numerous fish, man, numerous fish out of one eddy.
Right. That's good. Good tips. Thank you.
Yeah,
Nick Canestra says big things ahead for him. Absolutely, no doubt there. We'll be
I
seeing him.
appreciate that, brother.
We'll be seeing him as a boater one of these days. You see.
I appreciate that, man.
Brandon Gibbons says, "How about some drop shot tips?" Because I think that's a technique that all of us are kind of like just learning. So, any
Yeah,
tips for that?
and I hear it a lot. Like people really they shy away from the drop shot. They don't like it. I don't know if it's just I don't know what it is because I love it. But what I'm doing, like pretty much when I tie it up, I'm putting my circle hook on. I throw the gummies and one or a two on the circle hook, and I
Mhm.
just tie it with a polymer knot. And you want to make sure that you have your circle facing up. And if you tie your polymer knot and you ever have your circle facing down, a quick trick you can do: take your tag end, put it back through the eye of the hook, pull it down. Your hook's always going to face up. So that's
Oh,
something
that's
that's
good.
real important. Yeah, make sure that your hook's always facing up. If that hook's facing down, you're just not going to get the bites.
Right.
And switch your leader size, from your hook down to your weight. Switch it up, play with it. Try different things out. The fish are going to want different things. They're not going to want the same thing they wanted yesterday. Sometimes we get lucky and they do, but it doesn't always work out like that. So switch your leaders up. Make sure you have a weight size on there that's going to get you to the bottom. You're not worried about the fish that are catching you on the way down. You're getting that drop shot to where it needs to be, getting that bait in front of their faces as quick as possible. So as far as drop shotting, just always make sure your hooks up. Play with your leader sizes and make sure you have the right size weight that's going to get you down there, depending on your depth or the current. You know, depending on how
Sure.
that is, you're going to want to switch your weight up.
That's really good. I mean, all we got to do is just do it now. That's pretty much all
Yeah,
the info you
that's where
need.
it is, man. I'm dropping it. I'm giving it out, man.
That's
I'm not
awesome.
giving too many colors, but you know, I'm giving it mostly out, man.
Now, what do you usually put on your drop shots? I mean, as far as lure or whatnot, plastic.
You know, I've been since the Berkeley dropped that max scent. It's hard for me to get away from any max scent. I feel like the fish can really locate it. They smell it. I feel like once they grab it, they don't let go either. Like I'll use it during practice, and a lot of times tournament anglers during practice, we're trying to shake the fish off. We're not setting steel on them, and half the time with those max scents, I have to set the hook, or else they're just going to swim all the way home with this bait. You know,
Right.
they don't put it down. One of my go-to, probably my favorite Berkeley. It's still just a power bait though. It's not the max scent, but the twitch tail minnow. I talk
Okay.
about that at my seminars up at Hunter's Gallery. Twitch tail minnow, man. There's nothing like it. You can hold it right now in your two fingers here, and that tail will just keep twitching no matter what's going on. The action on it, I think it's unreal. It's like no other on the market, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, just that little bit of action sometimes helps in those finicky fish.
For
That's
sure.
awesome. Nick says, "Do you always use tungsten for a drop shot?"
Actually, I just started using tungsten for a drop shot. This season, the end of last season, like I was still just using lead. I switched to the tungsten this year, and I love it, man. I love it. It's hard to get away from the tungsten once you feel what you can feel.
Sure. Another thing from Scott Johnson, he says, "Do you do things with your baits to make them different, like add things or take things away? And what colors do you run in tide water versus clear water?"
Sure, sure. We all got our little tricks to the trade, little things we add. I think one of the things a lot of bass fishermen add is the spike, a little chartreuse tail. Go ahead and dip your swim baits when you're running your trailer on your chatter baits, things like that. The shaky heads, we're dipping in the chartreuse as well, man. They're really biting on that. And what else was it?
What colors do you run in tidal water? Or I don't think he meant to say tide. Said versus clear water. I guess it meant like tainted water
Maybe like the
versus
murky
clear.
versus.
Yeah,
So I'm real basic when it comes to colors, man. I don't stretch much. I'm using my natural for clear. I'm using my darker for darker water, you know, blacks and blues in the muddy water. But that chartreuse really plays a part in that muddy water as well. We will get those dips on in the muddy water. You know, we're throwing our chartreuse, things like that. But in the clear water, your natural colors. My buddy, actually, Cody Cutter, I never threw a brown tube before, man. And I'm always a green pumpkin guy. I stay on green pumpkin, and he had me on these brown tubes, and we were nailing them, man. So
yeah.
just clear water as natural as possible. That dirty, murky water, I'm just going with darker colors so that the fish can actually see the silhouette of things going on.
Yeah, I think that's one of my problems. I'm like a chartreuse guy. If it's not
Hmm.
chartreuse, I mean, don't even bother tying it on. But
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
I got to back off a little bit and hit some of those naturals once in a while. That's
They
just the
need
way
it,
I
man.
am.
They need it, man.
Larry Moore says, "What up, yo? How you doing,
Yo,
Larry? Thank you for
Lunker. Matter of
thank."
fact, Larry right there, that's who I got my personal best with, man. That's
Oh,
Lunker
really?
Larry. They don't call him Lunker for no reason, man.
Brandon Givens says the same black and blue, murky and natural for clear, right? So yeah, he's the same way.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah, pretty much, man. That's what I'm doing too. That black and blue murky, natural clear, man. I
Yeah.
just try to keep it simple. There's so much out there right now. If you get too involved, now I always say some baits are to catch fish and other ones are to catch fishermen.
Absolutely.
I try to stay around the ones that are to catch fish.
Always a good tip.
Yeah,
Well, I'll tell you what, Glenn, I think we're going to wrap things up with this segment here.
sounds
I
good,
think
man.
that was a fantastic bunch of knowledge. I don't think we could ask for more. It's almost like we were sitting with you in some of these tournaments getting those pro tips. So
Cool,
what's your
man. It
schedule
felt
for
good,
this
man.
year? You back on the water soon on any tournaments?
Do you know what? I haven't even looked lately. You know, everything's been jacked up. I think they rescheduled a lot. The BFLs are back on. I'm thinking maybe June is the first tournament.
Okay.
One of the things I noticed the BFL, it was like 3 of them in August, and I kind of didn't even look at the schedule. I was just like, oh, August is packed. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think June they're starting back up somewhere around then. For now, I'm just trying to fun fish, man, and be around the fish. Because once these tournaments kick in, it's more of a work mode,
It
we're
gets real.
grinding.
Yeah,
It does, man. And like, we're out on the water for 12, 13 hours and we're practicing, and it's not sitting out there laughing. Well, we're still laughing and joking, but
sure.
it's serious once it's go time.
Yep. No, I get you there, brother. All right. Well, guys, I want to thank everybody that came up with the questions. And Glenn, thank you very much. I mean, we have to have you on again probably sometime and just we have such a good time with you here. And I hope I catch up with you at the Hunters Gallery show because that's a good time. We can talk some fishing as well.
Yeah. This time we actually we got a meet and greet while we're there, man.
While
And
we're
it's
there,
been a
right?
pleasure, man. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me. Thanks everybody for showing up. Thanks for the questions. It was really cool. It was good giving you guys the information. And hopefully some of the stuff I say can get out there and help you. I'm gonna try to use some of the stuff I've seen in some of the comments, and just we learn from each other and keep going, man.
Absolutely. Glenn, you are a pro. Thank you so much
Hey,
for
I'm trying,
everything.
brother.
And we'll be talking real soon.
Sounds good, man. Have a great day, man.
All right. You too, Glenn. Thank you. All right. That was awesome. I love talking with guys like that just know exactly what they're doing and like to share the knowledge. Well, you know what that does, guys? It's time for our trophy board. So let's see who we got this week on the board. Friend Anthony Bottoms down at Sportmaster Bait and Tackle catching these stripers out in the Delaware down by the DOD. He's hitting them up on bloodworms. Go get them, Anthony. We want to see lots more of them. Chris Pitcher out down at Island Beach State Park getting some stripers on those bunker. That's what we need is those bunker running on the outside. I'll be out there in a couple weeks with my buddy Tony Maja. We'll get out there and get some of those bunker or those striped bass trolling. Mark Hines out on the Passaic River getting some of those big old pike. Great job there, Mark. Brandon Givens got his new PB bass the other day, 6 pound, 11 ounces. And what a great fish from a kayak. Congratulations, Brandon, on that one. My good friend Katie Courget out there in Minnesota. She's getting into these a bowfin, and that's something I have yet to catch. But yeah, that's she got in these little lakes out by her place there in Minnesota. That's a really good fish, definitely on my bucket list. Friend Eric Goodstall getting some of these back in these ponds and hidden lakes, getting us some really nice bass. You can see he's getting them there on a spinner bait. So they are starting to get up and chase some of these quicker baits. So that's going to end it for the trophy board this week. What we have now is our giveaway trivia. And this week, by the way, last week, Jay, I didn't forget you. I got your stuff ready to mail out. But keeping in line with the bass theme, I got a couple of packs of those Berkeley power baits to get you guys all set up for the upcoming bass season. I got some of those power worms. There's some crawls. So this will get you set up, let you get going for the season here. And our question this week is, in the northern U.S., largemouth bass live on average how long? So first person to give me the right answer, I'm going to send these baits, these Berkeley power baits to you. How long in the northern U.S. is the average lifespan of a largemouth bass? Sammy says 1 to 3. Come on, we need another answer. Samantha, that's wrong. Jay Batcha, 5 to 10. That is the correct answer. Good job. We got everybody joining in right now, but Jay was the first one to send it up. Yep, 5 to 10 is the actual average lifespan of a largemouth bass. So I want to thank you guys. Jay, I'll put everything in the mail for you, and we'll get these all out to you. I really appreciate you guys playing. And that's going to wrap up this episode of the Weekend Roundup. Again, I want to give special thanks to my good friends, Tony Maja Products, the Fisherman Magazine. Please send us your comments, your questions. You can email me at PoconoGeorge@outlook.com, and we'll see you next week on the next Weekend Roundup. We'll see you guys.